to vent, speak out, and get advice. When I married my perfect man 5 years ago, I never thought our marriage could fall apart. I had always dreamed of such a caring man, my ideal. And then, like in a nightmare, everything went downhill. Maybe my eyes opened, maybe circumstances changed, or maybe both. It's hard to remember now, but it was right after the wedding that his true face revealed itself. On top of that, I got pregnant a month and a half later. By accident, miscalculated the days myself. I cried for a long time. I wasn't ready for pregnancy. Our marriage was still raw, and I wanted to get an abortion. But he convinced me that he wanted the child, that he would provide and help. And at first, he did. But by the 6th month of pregnancy, I heard that if I wanted money, I had to work. The job wasn't too demanding, and at some point, I even enjoyed it. I took several courses and started earning quite well. But it became the only income for the family. Over time, my husband's affairs went to hell. He made a lot of promises that things would get better soon, very soon. He started disappearing, staying at the office until late, and only coming home to sleep. At some point, I began to feel like I was living with a mentally unstable person. Now, as I read articles, I realized that my husband probably has an anxiety disorder. In the beginning, I just didn't notice it, writing it off as a bad day or a bad mood. But things turned out the way they did. The facts. Since August 2022, my husband stopped bringing any money home. Whatever he earned, he spent who knows where. He racked up a bunch of loans. I don't know the exact amount. Around the time money troubles started, he began regularly insulting and degrading me. "Shut your fucking mouth, you fucking bitch." His favorite compliments. Our sex life disappeared. Last year, we had sex maybe 6 or 7 times. Another thing, when I got pregnant, I didn't have a job. After maternity leave, I didn't get a formal job either, but I had freelance work with proper contracts and everything. Since he was the one receiving the money every month, he kept $20,000 for himself. Sometimes he gave me a part of it, sometimes not, and he'd occasionally borrow money for a couple of days and never return it. Then he said he didn't owe me anything. I suggested separating a long time ago because I felt like I was living in hell. But he wouldn't leave. The apartment is mine from before the marriage. He contributed partially to the renovation and helped pay the mortgage for 2 years with the $20,000 he kept from me, but I mostly paid for it. At the end of February, out of nowhere, he started a fight, began yelling, and said he was leaving. He started packing his things. I told him, "If you leave, there's no coming back." He said I should be stopping him. Saying I was shocked is an understatement. Well, he left. Then for a week, he kept messing with my head, trying to come back through insults, without even apologizing. I didn't let him in. It's been a week now. He hasn't shown up or called our child. Our daughter is 3.5 years old. Yesterday, she asked to call him. He said he'd only come if I invited him. Pure idiocy. Right now, I feel nothing. No hatred, no pain. Just emptiness from being left alone with a child. I have almost no relatives, and my mom helps a little. I desperately want sex. It's driving me crazy, but not with him. I haven't felt attracted to him in a long time. A few months passed, and I suddenly realized the emptiness was gone. At first, it felt strange, as if there was a huge space inside me that used to be filled with fear, resentment, and the constant hope for a miracle. But now, there was something else, lightness, I started working with pleasure, not just because I had to. It turned out that when no one is pulling you down, you have so much more energy. I began earning more, allowing myself small joys, new clothes, trips, making my home cozy. My daughter grew up, became even happier and more cheerful. I think even the air in our apartment felt fresher and the days brighter. And then one day I met him, not a fairy tale prince, not a savior, and not a man full of empty promises, just a good person. He didn't try to change me. He didn't expect me to solve all his problems. He was simply there. He supported me. He listened. He cared. Not just about what we were having for dinner, but about what was in my heart. At first, I didn't let myself believe it. I had spent too long living in a different story, where love was heavy, painful, and always demanded sacrifice. But one day, watching him play with my daughter, seeing how gently he tucked us in with a blanket while we watched a movie, I realized this was it. Warmth, home. Years passed. My daughter started school. I wore a white dress again, but this time, not because I had to, or because it was the right time, but because I was sure. Now I have not just a family, but true happiness, without pain, without fear, and without compromising myself.
Don't miss a single thrilling story. Subscribe to the channel and hit the bell to stay updated on new revelations. Bell.